G'day viewers and welcome to a totally fucked up Friday the 13th. It's like Friday the 13th. I wanted to have stories that were unlucky. And I think maybe found things that maybe fit the bill. But yeah, the other thing I did on Twitter, I always ask people for tips. Is there any stories? And at one point I was going, you know what? I reckon I might just go on and drink cider and eat Pop-Tarts and stare at the camera menacingly for 5 minutes. To which a bunch of people went, yeah, do that. I didn't bring any Pop-Tarts out here. I'm not saying I would throw up if I ate a Pop-Tart, but I'm definitely not saying I wouldn't throw up if I ate a Pop-Tart. So, bad luck stories. Let me start with the Australian federal election. Happened last weekend, where the Conservative coalition swept to a huge victory. Gains in almost every seat that they won. Got a bunch of seats from the previous government. All wins all round, except, it looks like, for one, who coincidentally happened to be one of my least favourite people in the Liberal Party. Unfortunately, not Christopher fucking Pyne, but pretty much the female Christopher Pyne. Her name's Sophie Mirabella. She's just horrible. Just every time she speaks publicly, appears on TV shows. She was more than once on an ABC show called Q&A, Questions and Answers. And she's just like cold, sarcastic, superior, demeaning. I mean, for fuck's sake, on one show, the bloke sitting next to her, who was the chief of the Get Up activist group, had a seizure and collapsed. Actually, on live TV, collapsed and face planted on the desk. And she just kind of looked. Ugh. And she came up with all these excuses, but she did fuck all. Of someone on the other side of the panel was going, oh my God, is he okay? Like, it never occurred to her when the person sitting next to you goes, poof, then you go, are you okay? She just sort of goes, yeah, it's not a nice person, is what I'm saying, okay? And she was sitting in a seat in rural Victoria called Indi, and it's looking like she's going to be beaten by an independent, who's also a Conservative, but independent as opposed to being tied to the major Conservative party. One, Cathy McGowan. The way the Australian voting system works with preferences, if you don't get more than 50% of the primary, then there's all this potentially complicated stuff going, okay, you got the least, who do you want your votes to go to? So when you're in a situation that appears to have happened in Indi, where the votes are either for Sophie Mirabella or anyone but Sophie Mirabella, the anyone buts can elect a different person who had less first preference votes. And this looks like happening to Cathy McGowan, who, by the way, in a promising sign, has shown a lot of class in saying people should stop being so vicious to Sophie Mirabella. And on that front, I will just say, if someone who's been so mean, so cruel, so thoughtless, and promoted such awful, awful policies, if you then feel compelled to come back with a sexist comment, that reflects on you, not her. Actually, you know, go on policy stuff and behavioural stuff rather than saying, oh, what a bitch. Yeah, she's not a bitch. She's a politician. And major kudos to Cathy McGowan. If she does get up in Indi, I think that is for the better for Australia. And, you know, some people say Schadenfreude is bad and gloating is bad, but when one of my least favourite politicians in the country looks like getting humiliated, like seriously, this seat has been held by the Liberal Party forever, and her party made all these gains, swept into power, yet she got slapped in the face. And I have talked to people from the electorate who said it's a very widespread view in the electorate. She took them for granted and wasn't representing them, and that's why there's a backlash against her. Well, you know, one of my least favourite person actually cops a backhander from the electorate, I'm gonna gloat. I don't fucking care, okay? Another potentially bad luck story happened this week. One of my favourites, the type of, oh shit, things in Australia want to fucking kill you. A New Zealander loves kayaking, was trekking, and he seems to have had a bit of bad luck. Like, he was on some guy's boat who got arrested, and he had to find another way to keep going. He ends up in like northwest Western Australia, one of the corner tips of Australia. Fairly incredible bit of country, lots of wildlife in the ocean, and he's ended up on this island, and every time he went to get in his kayak and go back to the mainland, he's like in a 2.5 meter kayak, and it's like this big ass 6 meter crocodile that's really well known to locals for being a bit of a monster, spots him and starts shadowing. This is for those who don't know metric, this is a fucking 20-foot crocodile. And saltwater crocs, I've seen ones that big when I visited Darwin. They're really fucking scary looking. They are dinosaurs. They're living dinosaurs, and they will fuck your shit up. So this guy, every time he starts paddling out in his kayak, a huge croc goes, ooh, dinner, and he goes, oh, fuck me, back to the island. Apparently, he was stranded on this island for 2 weeks till someone passing by in a boat noticed his light and rescued him. The guy's like dehydrated and has run out of food, and he's freaked right the fuck out. And in typical Australian style, they go, yeah, have a drink, mate, give him beer, and 30 seconds later, dude is unconscious. Possibly not the best choice of action at that point, but this is Australia, and you know, if you can't fucking handle giant crocs or beers when you're starved and dehydrated, maybe you shouldn't be here, okay? That's all I'm saying. And that's not the weirdest animal story I read this week. There was one from a zoo in China, and the state media was reporting that a monkey, and I normally don't, this is on the edge of stuff I normally wouldn't talk about because it's awful and exploitative, but the story goes that, a mum was changing her baby boy's nappy. They were attacked by a monkey who ripped at least one of the boy's testicles off. And that is like, stuff I didn't need to hear. And there's even stories about someone else wrestling the monkey for the baby's testicle and getting it back, but then the monkey struck back and got it back again and ate it. And I'm just like, the fuck is going on there? And then I realized this is being reported from China. I have a practice of being very suspicious of way out there stories from China because they're almost impossible to verify. And often they're these ones, they're morality tales, and it's from the state media. It's like, ew, that guy was gaming in a net cafe for 7 years non-stop and he died. So don't do that stuff, kids. But this is just fucked up. The concept of monkeys, of all the things the monkeys could do, it's just saying, you know what? I reckon I'm going to rip that kid's testicle off. Like, no, that shit is just fucked up, monkey. What were you thinking? I'm actually going to round out with one more story from China. There's been a high-profile trial of a disgraced former high flyer of the Communist Party named Bo Xilai. I probably pronounced that wrong, so I apologize now. But yeah, he's on trial and being convicted. But the popular rumor sweeping China is he's not going to jail. A body double is going to jail. Now, there is a wealthy class in China these days. I won't say corrupt because they have lots of money and they might sue me. But they're corrupt, okay? And they have lots of money and they appear to think they're above the law. And there's a very widespread belief in China when these people are prosecuted and found guilty, they don't go to jail. They pay some poor person to take their place and serve the term. And I thought about this for a while and I realized what this story is essentially saying is people in China are saying all Asians look the same. And that's just racist.